Winston Churchill is quoted as saying, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts." Let's talk about the comeback mindset on today's episode of the Playing with a Purpose podcast. Welcome to the Playing with a Purpose podcast, where we explore topics related to the moral development of collegiate athletes and young people as it relates to character, responsibility, and purpose. I'm your host, Matt Barker, and today I'm excited to have FHU men's basketball player Sam Powell with me on today's episode. Sam, welcome to the program.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, and good to have you on. We've had to reschedule this a couple times, so I'm glad to actually get you in here to talk about your experience. And we're talking a little bit about today about the comeback mindset. Obviously, this year with Freed-Hardeman men's basketball, probably, I guess it was about 19 games in is what I was looking.
I got hurt in the 19th.
Yeah, I was injured and I was out the rest of the year. Obviously, you were a part of that national championship team 2 years ago and a part of the team this year. I had to sit on the sidelines for the second half of the season, which I'm sure was frustrating to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about your journey with being injured and the role that you played this year, not on the court, but also on the sidelines, and talking about some things looking forward to what's coming up for you. So I'm glad to have you on and excited to have you talk about your experience. For our listeners that might not know who you are, tell us a little bit about your background, your basketball experience, all that good stuff with your family, and to give us a little background about yourself.
Yep. So my name is Sam Powell. I'm from just outside of Louisville, Kentucky, but I grew up in Louisville. I've been at Freed for 4 years now. I redshirted my freshman year and came in, played a role my redshirt freshman year, the year we won the first national championship, of just coming in, shooting the ball, just being a role player. Year after that, did the same exact thing. And then coming up to this year, I was really expecting a big year, averaged 14-some points a game. And ultimately tore my ACL 6 minutes into a game at Lindsey Wilson. Business management major. I graduate in May, something like that. But.
So you mentioned going back to Lindsey Wilson. It was about 19 games into the season. So you were having a great season. One of our leading scorers up to that point, and then tearing your ACL in that Lindsey Wilson game. Kind of take us back to that moment when you kind of realized how serious it was. What was your initial reaction and your thoughts going through your mind at that point?
So going through the whole injury, from when it happened to when I got diagnosed. So when it happened, I planted my leg and I just felt like a shift. I didn't even feel like a pop, like people say, but I just felt like a shift, and it didn't hurt. It just felt like really awkward. I kind of knew something was up, but I didn't think it was like that serious.
Right.
Obviously, I was laying on the ground freaking out a little bit, like, oh, please don't be torn, this, that. I get helped off the court, and then they put me in crutches. And the trainer at Lindsey Wilson told me that it's something, maybe an ACL sprain, but he couldn't tell me for sure because he's not an MRI machine.
Right.
And once he told me that, gave me the crutches. Once the crutches came out, it kind of like hit me like, okay, we got something a little bit more serious. Yeah, something serious. But then that game was on a Thursday. We played Campbellsville that Saturday. Come back Saturday night, had one of our trainers look at it. He said, everything in your leg feels solid. Let's give it till Monday. We'll reevaluate Monday. If we really think we need an MRI, we'll go get an MRI. Come Monday, I'm walking normal. I feel normal. My knee doesn't feel great, but I'm walking around.
Right. I'm sure athletes a lot of times after games and in the middle of the season probably don't feel great all the time. They're just tired. They're sore, so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Coach Stutz did a great job of managing us. But, yeah, we get to Monday, and I'm like, I should probably just go get it checked out because my family was pushing for me to get it checked out. Coach Stutz wanted me to make sure everything was good. So went to the doctor. He feels my knees, like everything feels solid. And then he's like, we're still going to get an MRI just to make sure. X-rays came back clean. Once I'm done with my MRI, she goes, we can get you your results at 1. So I just go get some lunch in Jackson, go back to the doctor. And then the doctor walks in and he's like, so we got some not so good news. I'm like, all right, hit me with it. He goes, it looks like a grenade went off in your knee. That's what he told me. So hearing that news just kind of took me a minute to process. I'm just sitting there looking at the ceiling in this tiny little exam room.
So going through that, I mean, obviously that's got to be a little bit of a shot to you, mentally as well as physically. I mean, you know this is going on. You had a little bit of experience being sidelined your first year as a redshirt freshman. So you've kind of had that experience being on the sidelines for a different reason. But what's kind of going through your mind? This is your next to last year to play. You really want to, do the best that you can for the team. And then this happens. What's kind of going through your mind mentally? And did you have any maybe prior experience with being injured, maybe in high school or anything that prepared you for it?
So my sophomore season, I sprained my MCL in my left knee.
Okay.
It wasn't that serious. That hurt way more than my ACL did.
Yeah.
I was out for 8 games, and that was tough being out. But this doesn't compare. You're out for 8 months, 9 months, even a year. It's something that a lot of people compare a ACL injury or some serious injury like an Achilles tear or the more serious injuries that require surgical operations. I was reading up, and they were classifying them as brain injuries because of how mentally taxing it could be on the athlete because their identity and whatnot gets ripped away from them. They compared it to losing a loved one because you lose your identity in your sport, basically. Yeah,
and that kind of goes into my next question. A lot of times an athlete's identity, and specifically when you're up in the higher levels like college sports and in professional sports, your identity is tied to a lot of times the sport that you play. A lot of people know you by the sport that you play. Here at Freed-Hardeman, such a small school, everybody knows who the athletes are. They know, oh, that's a basketball player, that's a volleyball player. So how much of a difficult time was that as far as did it kind of shift the way that you felt about yourself as far as your identity, since a lot of that was probably tied to sport up until this point? And maybe what are some ways that you managed that?
Yeah, so it definitely took a toll. Like you're going through like, will I ever be the same again? Will I ever play at the level that I did again? When will I be healthy? Will I be the same player? This is something that I think I've grown with as I've been in college just in general is my freshman year redshirting. I had to figure out what else can I do outside of basketball. Yeah. You see, I play a lot of disc golf.
That's right.
I'm also a disc golfer. Yeah. So I go out and, I play disc golf. I'm not just a basketball player. And at the end of the day, the ball's going to stop bouncing. So you got to find things that consume your time other than basketball because that's a healthy balance. If you go to work 7 days a week and you work from 9 to stay late at work and stay till 8, and the only thing that consumes your life is work, you're not going to be very happy. Yeah. People around you aren't going to want to be around you because all you talk about is work. And, there's times for that. But I think just finding the balance and finding things outside of what your sport is as an athlete, especially new college athletes. That's the one thing whenever Coach Stutz had us talk to some high school guys, I'm like, find stuff that you like outside of basketball. Find healthy habits, healthy hobbies. I like to play golf, video games.
Just having some sort of outlet outside of your sport is healthy as well. Yep. Yeah. Yep. So let's kind of take a behind the scenes look here at the rehab process. You're injured, and then you have to kind of start the process working with, I'm sure, Garrett Klaus and others throughout the different times, your doctors and people that are helping you. What does that process look like as far as kind of the ins and outs of that? Trying to manage the injury, but also trying to get you back as soon as you can and recovering from that injury. What are some things that you dealt with there?
Yeah, so starting off is the worst thing I've ever gone through in my life. The beginning of the ACL recovery is just bending your knee. Like first day out of surgery, I was in the training room bending my knee. It's brutal. It sucks. It hurts. But you kind of go through like phases with it. So the beginning of your process, you're kind of just slowly trying to get your flexion back and your extension back. That's a big one, is your extension, because you don't want to have a bunch of scar tissue built up and then they have to do another surgery. You got to continue to bend your knee, and then once you can get to the point where you bend your knee a lot, you're doing like straight leg raises, just like stretching. It's very tedious in the beginning. You're doing a lot of the same things, but once you get past that like 1 month mark, that's when it starts to you start to see the wheels turning. And the week before you were at 28 degrees of flexion, but then next thing you know, you're at 120 and getting ready to start weightlifting and things like that. So I'm at the point now where I actually get to start running on Wednesday. Okay. So it's progressing.
Yeah, it's a process. There's just a lot of things that goes into it.
Yeah, you're doing stuff every day. Just like whenever you're sitting down, you got to make sure, you have it propped, icing a lot. I mean, I'm still about 3 months out of surgery, and you still got some swelling and whatnot, but that's relatively normal. Yeah. So going through this, it's obviously tough for the athlete to go through. Maybe who are some people that helped you the most through the process? Obviously doctors and those helped you physically, but there's also the other component of it. Is it teammates, friends, maybe an outlet like you were talking about, like other things that maybe you're not able to do right now, but maybe video games or something? What kinds of things maybe helped you the most, and what did they do that really helped you through this? Honestly, my teammates, because they kept me a part of the team. It's really easy to forget about people that are injured. But yeah, just my teammates just being there, hanging out with me, especially like like during the week, we'd hang out in our rooms. My family, obviously, they're checking in on me, calling me, asking me, how's recovery going? How's this? How's that? And then, the trainers keeping my head straight, make sure I'm not doing anything too stupid, which I did do 1 or 2 times, but that's just new to the recovery process and being an athlete and being stubborn. My girlfriend helped me a lot, just especially in the early stages when I couldn't move around. I came back to my room after I was with my parents one weekend, and my room is spotless. Yeah. You don't know until after you're like, oh, these people are doing this for me. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing with the recovery process is you got to rely on people a lot. Jared Clayton, early stages, drove me to PT 3 days a week. Garrett Klaus drove me sometimes. DJ McIntyre drove me sometimes. DJ McIntyre, first person to ask me, how are you doing? Yeah. With the injury. That's some things that people oversee is people say, hey, how you doing? DJ how are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Outside of your playing ability, how are you doing as a person? And you don't think about it. A lot of times with those injuries, you can't drive. So you have to rely on people that you're used to. I couldn't drive for 6 weeks. Yeah. It was terrible. It's you can't really go anywhere without having to have somebody take you. So that's another thing about it. I was in the straight leg brace, so I was hopping in the back of the car, Yeah, so you kind of, I guess, learn sometimes if you're a person that likes to do things yourself, you have to kind of set that aside and rely on people for the things that you can't do, and maybe it's not something you're originally comfortable with, but it's something I guess you have to make yourself comfortable with for that. What are some ways that maybe you grew during the season, not being able to play? What are some things that maybe you developed throughout the season that maybe you wouldn't otherwise have developed because, when you're on the court, you have a certain role. When you're not getting to play, you have a different role. So maybe you're able to develop some different things. What are some things that maybe you developed that you wouldn't have otherwise had without the injury? I wouldn't say on the court stuff really developed because I was in the same exact role my freshman year. Yeah. And so it kind of just took me back to that of just being a good teammate, showing up for my teammates. Ultimately it wasn't about me. It was about us winning games. And that's my only concern really is us winning games. So once we continued to win, once I went down, that was very reassuring, knowing that okay, I can release this. It's out of my hands. Yeah. It was mainly off the court stuff, my faith, that stuff really skyrocketed. I prayed more often. I read the Bible more often. I take a class with Matt Cook, Spiritual Disciplines. That class has helped me tremendously. Just stuff like that. It's not really on the court stuff. It's off the court stuff. The more you think about it, on the court, that stuff will come. You can work on that anytime. It's the off the court stuff that really, once you have that time and you sit there and think about it. But with the on the court stuff, trying to keep your teammates in sync. I guess. Yeah. Trying to keep them level-headed, not get too high, not get too low. I remember specifically in that Northwestern game, I was just trying to say, hey, come on, let's just keep on going. Yeah. It's grind away at it. Yeah. And it's interesting because you're a guy, obviously redshirted your first year, so you've been around the program more than other than Phil Horton. You all were both part of that national championship team, and if I remember right, maybe the only two other than Dalton Colbert, correct, maybe that were a part of that national championship team. So being in that situation, like the Northwestern game, we had a similar situation in the first round 2 years ago where it was a close game and we were able to pull that one out. And then from there, hey, we can come back in games, we can do this. But having a guy like you, Phil Horton, Dalton, just to be there for those guys that were younger, that were first year coming in, and some of those guys maybe hadn't been to that level yet as far as a national championship. So you were able to kind of be there and as somebody that's been through it before. So that in that way, I think that's helpful to those guys, that even if you're not able to play, it's kind of like a solid presence there on the court of someone that's been through it before. And I think you and Phil and some others definitely did a good job with that throughout this season, even if you weren't able to be out there on the court with them. So we talked a little bit about this before the podcast, but next season's going to be a little different for you. You're not going to be at Freed-Hardeman. You're going to be at University of North Alabama, NCAA Division I school, where Drew Stutz is going to be an assistant coach next year. What are some things maybe you're looking forward to most? Hopefully, injury, getting that aside and getting back to kind of where you were before the injury. What are some things you're looking forward to for next year? Man, assistant coaches, Will Susi, he asked me what my goals were for next year. I was like, I just want to play and have fun. Yeah. That's end of the day, being away I've been away for 3 months and I'm going crazy. Yeah. I got at least 6 more months to go. Yeah. Just playing, man. I just want to play. Just ready to get back out there. I just want to get back out there, do whatever it is. I told coach on the visit, if I need to hand out water cups, I'll hand out water cups. But I just want to I just want to be healthy.
Yeah. And I remember, I think you played with Quan. Was it your first year?
Yep.
Maybe that year you'll be back with him a little bit?
It was the year we won the Natty. We won the Natty
so
together.
your sophomore year, I guess it would have been, right?
My sophomore year in the classroom, redshirt freshman year.
Redshirt freshman year. So you'll be back with him, coming from Austin Peay, going to be transferring to UNA as well. So a little bit kind of getting the team back together a little bit there. So that should be a little bit fun.
That'll be real cool.
Yeah, I really like Quan too. He's always a great player, great guy off the court as well. So that'll be fun. So last question here. What would you say to an athlete that maybe is struggling, maybe not exactly the same injury you had, but just an injury in general? What would be something that you would tell them from your experience? What would you tell them to maybe help them get through it?
Okay, I got 3 things.
Okay.
Number 1, show up every day. Show up, do your rehab. If it's a little bit, if it's a lot, make some percentage of progress, because you can carry that to any other part of your life.
Yeah.
It's just showing up. Second thing, don't rush. Obviously, you want to get back, but don't be stupid.
Yeah, trust the process. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta trust everything that you're doing, and that it's gonna work out. Like, it's still hard for me to see that because it's such a long process. And then the last thing is let it happen. Like, whatever happens, happens. That's kind of the thing I'm saying, is just like accept what you're in. Don't have a victim mentality about your injury. There's going to be times where it limits you. There's going to be times where, you're going to need to use it as an excuse for things because you physically cannot do the thing. But just let it happen, accept it, and just know that eventually, one of these days, you're going to find the end of it. That's kind of the mentality that I kind of brought into like this upcoming year, and with my entire career here at Freed. It's like, okay, it's gonna happen. Like, one way or another, it's gonna work out. Like, I say that in my daily life too. Like, my parents and stuff are stressing about things. Like, when are we gonna do this? I'm like, it's just gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna work out one way or another. Like, at the end of the day, and think future,
long term,
month, 2 months, 3 months, is it gonna matter?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I like to think about things. Obviously, this is something that is gonna matter in a year. You're still gonna be thinking about, because it's part of your journey. But 10 years down the line, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, I tore my ACL back in 2025 or 2026.
Yeah. It's all about keeping perspective.
Yep, you got to keep your perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's been great to have you on today. Wish you a lot of luck at UNA. I think you do great. I'll be coming to a few games. I already told Coach Stutz I would be there for a couple of games. Get to see you and Quan and maybe some others, catch up with Coach Stutz a little bit. So wish you a lot of luck in that. I appreciate you making the time today to come on and talk with me about your experience.
Absolutely. Right, thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, thanks for joining us today on the Playing with a Purpose podcast. Special thanks again to FHU basketball player Sam Powell for being my guest this week. As a reminder, you can listen to the Playing with a Purpose podcast each week on Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also catch the Playing with a Purpose podcast on the Freed-Hardeman Athletics Champions of Character website at gofhulions.com/champions of character, on the NAIA Champions of Character website at naia.org/champions of character, and on the Ministry League podcast network. Until next time, remember, winning isn't just about the scoreboard, it's about the character you build along the way. We'll see you next time on the Playing with a Purpose podcast.